Welcome to the Women Get Funded show, where we are dedicated to empowering women founders to shatter barriers and achieve exponential growth and funding for their business. Join us on this inspiring journey as we illuminate the path to unlocking opportunities and prosperity for women-led enterprises. With only 2% of venture funding going to women-led businesses and a mere 3% of women-led companies crossing the $1 million threshold, these startling statistics highlight the need for change. I am Coco Selman, 5-time founder, impact investor, creator of the Force for Good business system, and your host on this transformative journey. In each episode, you'll meet a trailblazing woman leader. You will meet venture capitalists, CEOs, successful founders, and experts in scaling business growth. Our purpose is clear. We are here to open doors and provide women founders with invaluable access to advisors, investors, and visionary leaders who share our commitment to creating a better world through women-led business at Women Get Funded. We see a future where tomorrow's Amazons, Mercks, Microsofts, and Home Depots are born right here, led by women. They represent the future face of business, and we're here to make it happen. I believe that women-led business is the most powerful, transformative force of our time. Together, we make the world better through business. Are you in? Welcome to the Women Get Funded show. We are dedicated to empowering women founders to shatter barriers of growth and funding in their businesses. Thank you for joining us today as we illuminate the path to unlocking opportunities and prosperity for women-led enterprises. Today, we have a special guest for you. Laura Rippy is the managing partner and board member at Alumni Ventures. She runs the Women's Fund at Alumni Ventures, the Dartmouth-focused fund called Green D Ventures, and the Harvard-focused fund called the Yard Ventures. Under Laura's leadership, Alumni Ventures is America's largest venture firm for individuals. Very, very, very cool. So it went under her leadership, top 20 venture firm from CB Insights in 2024, number 1 most active U.S. venture firm, number 3 globally, according to PitchBook. 10,000 plus individual accredited investors already trust their platform. Fast Company's most innovative personal finance company of 22, 1.25 billion raised, and 1,300 portfolio companies since 2014. Laura has been busy. Previously, Laura was a serial CEO, chairman, board member, advisor, and executive high technology companies. Her experience spanned across enterprise, mobile to fintech, SaaS to e-commerce, seed to Fortune 50. Holy moly. She has an MBA from Harvard and a BA in government from Dartmouth College. Some of the women-founded businesses Laura has invested in, and there have been a lot, but some are Venus Aerospace, Cube Software, Madison Reed, Elevest, Athena, Kindbody, Verge Genomics. Business Insider ranked Laura the best seed investor of 2024. And very recently, Laura founded this women's fund, which we're going to dig into, also under Alumni Ventures. So I'm so excited to talk to you, Laura, and to work together with you to help move women founders forward and learn how they can grow and gain access to funding needed to grow their visionary companies.
Well, I appreciate all those comments, Coco, and they all crazily are true, except one I want to correct. So the Business Insider Award, I'm not the best in the US. I'm one of the best 100. So
Okay.
suffering here in terms of early stage investors. That was enough of an incredible award and a little bittersweet in that there were 100 investors and only 7 of us were women.
Well, it's cracking that glass, right? Here we in another way. And thank you for being one of those trailblazers that's leading the way for the rest of us, because it's really an important piece and progress, right? We're making progress. So as you know, my first question I always like to ask in the spirit of bringing out the wisdom and voice of women, what is one book written by a woman that has significantly influenced your life?
Well, of course, there are many, but I wanted to think kind of that Ursprung sort of earlier reading that shapes where you go. So the one I chose is a book called Herland by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. And I doubt you've ever heard of it or your audience has ever heard of it, but it's a book about a feminist utopia. And I read it when I was probably 17. And what goes on in this feminist utopia is all of the leadership positions, the whole economy, the whole country is led by women. And it's not unlike Barbie Land. If you saw that movie, I'm sure you did, and I'm sure your audience did as well. But this one was written, gosh, I think in the 1940s or something like that. And so it was very forward thinking at a time where people are really writing about utopias. But this one was a feminist utopia. So merely kind of caught my eye as a young college freshman and really sort of, okay, you can remap the world, girls. Let's go see what we're going to do here. And it sparked some ideas on my part.
Oh my goodness, Laura, I love this book that you suggest. Actually, I have heard of it. I had a
Completely.
I had, and I've read it. I had a minor in women's studies in college, and so
Okay.
I read this book.
Yeah.
I don't remember all of it, but I do remember it being a feminine utopia. And what a great example for us all to turn back to and reflect upon, because we can create the world that we wish. And one of the things I love about founders and growing companies is we have the opportunity within our little ecosystem of a company to create a different reality, create a different society, if you will. And so I love that you made that suggestion. I feel like Charlotte Perkins Gilman has written a couple of other things too, right?
She did. She
Yes.
did. But that's the one that really kind of
Yes.
bristled.
Thank you for that. Wonderful. So I also wanted to just let everybody know. So I had this great opportunity to meet Laura a couple months ago in Boston. We were on a panel together with a bunch of women founders and some other investors, women investors at Gessmer Updegrove in Boston, a great law firm. So it was so nice to meet you then. And it's so nice I didn't even realize how impressive your career is until I started to really do the detailed look at your background. So tell us about what led you were a CEO. You've been in the shoes of leading companies, and then you made the transition to venture. You've got a huge amount of, under management, huge portfolio. How did this all happen? How did you make these big choices? What were some of these moments?
Yeah. Well, I started college as a math major. So let me put some numbers. That's it for you. So, I shared that sort of one of those 7 early stage investors at Business Insider started, but I'm also one of 20 managing partners at Alumni Ventures. So as you say, it's the most active VC in North America, third most active globally. We have 20 school funds at Alumni Ventures, but I'm the only female of those MPs at Dartmouth. When I started my college career, it was about 40% women. Uh, I went to consulting afterwards at business school. HBS, Harvard Business School, was about 30% women. From there, I went to Microsoft. I don't know what the numbers were in 1993, but I couldn't have been north of 15%. I mean, this is an era where, Melinda was still there. And so she was one of the very powerful women there at Microsoft at the time. I then became a CEO. And at that point, I don't know that it was even measurable in terms of what the percentages were. I mean, I remember one investment banking conference that I went to that was pretty cool. I mean, this is when Salesforce was still private. So like Mark Benioff was one of the other CEOs. I remember I found the book that has all the companies profiled from that investment banking conference, and there were probably 75, and each one of us could share sort of the masthead of our company. So 75 times 5 people on each one of those pages. And I remember looking, and there wasn't another female name.
Wow.
So it was just a crazy era. So I was an early CEO, built my business, and from there did some board work to kind of get more of a portfolio. As I had kids, and being a chairman and being a board member was the right phase at that point. So I could kind of work with a mix of companies. And when I came back in full time, wanted to do venture, I joined a small venture firm as they were going through a transition where it would be 2 female partners added to 2 male partners. And I really felt like that was important. And just kind of took myself on this journey to uh, to live in startup land. Obviously with that mix, having been at a big platform company, Microsoft, but then doing this set of startups in Boston and Dallas and Seattle that I was advised give me kind of breadth. And really, when Alumni Ventures was first getting started, it was a perfect fit for me because we are co-investor, we are the generalist omnivore investor. So I kind of put my foot into a few different industry verticals really gives me the toolbox that enables me to be impactful here in our investing. And the fact that I was a CEO also was relevant as Alumni Ventures was growing as its own entrepreneurial journey. Being able to be a builder here is very rewarding. So that combination of being a builder, understanding many different types of startups and sort of what it takes to succeed as having been a CEO 3 times, and then also feeling like I really jive with the mission. And we haven't talked about that much, in person about the mission of Alumni Ventures, but I think that's relevant here for
Yes.
founders and how that comes together.
Tell us more about that. I'm really curious always
Yeah.
about
So
mission, values, vision.
yeah. So Alumni Ventures is entirely different from every other venture firm out there because our source of capital is different. Most venture firms get capital from big institutions, but really the founding of Alumni Ventures is that we democratize access to the asset class for venture for individual accredited investors. So what that means is venture capital has outperformed pretty much every asset class on the planet year in, year out in the 40 plus years it's been around. And yet the only people who took advantage of that were the big institutions. So enter Alumni Ventures, we build a set of funds. So as you mentioned, I run the Dartmouth Fund, the Harvard Fund, these funds that encourage alumni to invest together in our funds in a portfolio of companies. So now with the Women's Fund, we bring that to a whole new community, not an alumni community, but a women's community. And it's an invitation for individual accredited investors, likely female, but also some allies, to invest in the fund at a low minimum, be a part of a portfolio of 20 companies that all have female founders, co-founders, or CEOs. And we're able to do this at Alumni Ventures because we have this retail engine, right? We have 10,000 individual investors that have already committed to us an investor in our platform. So we have the starting point of how to get energy going, how to get those capital started. Plus, we have 1,300 portfolio companies. And of those portfolio companies, 357 have a female founder, co-founder, or CEO. So we have already found and tapped into this enormous vein of very successful female founders who get venture capital to build their businesses. And so Alumni Ventures Women's Fund is this very unusual opportunity where allies, women, accredited investors can join us, put their money to work. We then back incredible female founders and have a track record of sourcing deals and really, we're top quartile performing fund. And so really getting into some of the best deals, providing the opportunity for both the investors and then also backing the founders to whom they speak.
I just love it. There's so many avenues to talk about through everything you just said. So, okay, first of all, I just want to know, I just want to mark that, the sort of overall data that 2 to 3% of all venture going to women founded initiatives is not what's happening at Alumni, right?
Yeah. Well,
You
so
have a you have a
here's the
much
thing.
higher percentage, right?
Yeah. So I want to be careful about the numbers here. So roughly 2% of venture goes to female only founded
Correct.
companies.
Correct.
About an incremental 13% roughly goes to female co-founded. So you have
Yep.
a diverse team of founders. As far as I'm concerned, I think that's pretty good. When I was CEO, I had a mixed gender team, and I thought that worked out pretty well. So we just take that together. That's 15% of either female founded or co-founded. That is where we stand today. What that means, the flip side, 85% of all venture-backed startups only have male founders.
Yes.
85% of all venture-backed startups have only male founders, no women in the founding team, who is going to have the most impact in terms of exits when those companies are successful. So that is broken, right? That is completely
Totally.
broken. So from my perspective, and there's different sort of approaches to this. I'm comfortable with female founded or co-founded, like whatever it is, go out there, go build the damn thing, right?
Yeah.
And get that number from 15% to 20 to 20 to 50%, because that's where it really should be, if not more, right? It should be 100%. Like, there shouldn't be a founder who just, the guy just does it himself. Like, he should realize that he's going to do better if he has a female co-founder, because women exit sooner. Women, female founded companies exit sooner, and they're more capital efficient. That's data that Facebook has shared for years. So you really want to have a female founder and a team in order to get a faster exit, in order to be more capital efficient with what you're building.
Yeah. So the other thing, thank you for that and for the important clarification between female only founded companies and with a co-founder. One of the things that I'm thinking about as a founder myself, and also as an investor, is the difference that alumni would offer to a company, given that your investors are not just big institutions, but they're individuals that already are part of individually a community, a network that might already have some traction and know each other.
Absolutely.
Right.
That the network is the magic of Alumni Ventures, right? So if you come on our platform as a portfolio company, we open you up to the beauty of our CEO services, which is a free set of offerings that we offer. And they have, there's about 10 of those, but I think one of the most important is the network. I'm happy to share some of the others as well. So the network is pretty amazing. So we have about 600,000 people. They sit at the intersection of Ivy equivalent degrees and financial success, which generally speaking is the C-suite of America. So that is our people. Those are the people that are in our network. When the founder wants to connect with CFOs, you got a lot of those. You got a lot of those. You want to do CHROs? We got those too. We'll have to narrow it down. Tell us exactly large scale company, small scale company, to whom are you selling? Who do you need advice from? So that network is amazing. We leverage AI. We understand our population. We always do very curated introductions. So it's not like, hey, here's 1,000 people to talk to, but rather, let's pair you up with the person that can change the trajectory of their business. So I'll give you 2 examples on that. So one is a company in Seattle. They're building software for assisted living communities. So I connected, in this case, the Dartmouth founder in Seattle with then the Tucky, which is the business school at Dartmouth, guy who was the CFO of an assisted living chain. Paired the 2 of those just for some advice. Discussion that would probably be pretty helpful. Turns out a sale happened. It was the fastest that founder had ever had a sale. It was the largest that the founder had ever had a sale. The guy went on the board, and you know what? It happened just before their Series A. They got a Series A term sheet from CRV that was significant, and they were able to do that matching. So being able to pinpoint and do that pairing is what we excel at Alumni Ventures. So that's a big piece. There's a whole range of other offerings that I'll just dive into more. So there's some practical things. We have 5 offices. The Alumni Ventures is in basically all the startup hubs. So as a founder, once you're on our platform, you need to take a meeting in Boston and have a gorgeous view like this. You get your own key code and you can utilize that office space. Seems pretty pedestrian, but man, folks love it, right? From an amplification perspective, we have 600,000 people on our network, but broader than that, we are speaking to a huge community in LinkedIn and other places. So amplifying the message, helping with social media, being a part of our podcast, being a part of our communications to this very special audience of essentially the C-suite of decision makers in America, that is a huge, huge win. Pretty much every startup. There's a range of other pieces that we can help with pitch practice as you go from, transitioning from C to A. We do practice on that front. There's a whole variety of ways that we can be helpful. But all of that to say, when you join a platform that has 1,300 other portfolio company CEOs and an organization that's raised 1.3 billion, there is an entire army of helpfulness things that we can do to help grow your startup.
That's extraordinary. And that's to me, that's one of to the extent we as founders have a choice, right, on which venture firms to work with, if venture is the right fit for our businesses. Um, this would be such an incredible opportunity, a unique opportunity to work
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, we fit in the venture community in a very unique way, right? We're not a lead investor, so we can't price you around. So we really look to see who is pricing you around and why they're going to be that extra thumb on the scale to help you succeed from their what they're going to contribute in the board. But beyond that, we are the classic strategic. We are a strategic that is one LinkedIn away from pretty much anybody you need to talk to. We are that strategic that is flexible across categories, but we can stay in the background too, candidly, right? I mean, we can be kind of that helpful aunt or uncle in the background that you call on to open a door, but you can pretty much run your business and just take the ball and run with it from there um, without a requirement from us. And we just are here to help if you need it.
That's wonderful. So not lead investors, more like a strategic, supportive aunt,
Mhm.
and there to help you, but not going to get in your business every day, kind of.
Mhm. That's kind of the way it is.
So tell us about what inspired the formation of the Women's Fund, what it is,
Yeah.
and what the vision is for it.
Yeah. So I think I joined the board of Alumni Ventures in the fall, and around that time, there's kind of this recognition: what do we do great, right? Where's our secret sauce? And part of it is around community, right? And so it's the community. It's recognizing that when we really have an engine that's working, it's the founders that are communicating, VCs that are communicating to the investors to really stir that pot. And where more perfect than in the women's, right? So we have a suite of venture scouts that are helping us to source deals. These totally honored and flattered that a good portion of them are CEOs in our portfolio companies that endorse what we're doing, and they're been very helpful. So we have the venture scouts, those existing 357 portfolio companies that are either founded, co-founded, or led by women. A portion of those women, we have investors who are classically just very successful in their careers. Uh, the idea for that is a woman who joined us who is a CFO. I think she's 20 times for sort of PE backed startups as a turnaround CFO. And she was just very generous in saying, I know that female founders, they are grittier than the rest. And I want to back them. And if they need help on their pitch decks or sort of raising capital, I'm here to be helpful. So that's sort of emblematic of the investors. And then the founders themselves. I mean, I wake up every day thinking about what my teams are building. And that gets me super fired because these female founders that we've backed were exceptional. They are exceptional because if you think of, all businesses that start in America, only 1% get venture. Smaller percentage get the top tier VCs with whom we invest in Alumni Ventures, so the Sequoias and the Andreessens and those, and an even smaller bit are female founded, right? So by the time you get to that very, very special founders that are in our community that are backed by us, I mean, these women are rock stars, absolute rock stars. So that gets me started to think about what they're going to accomplish and how they're going to change.
That's extraordinary. And so right now, you're raising capital for the Women's Fund, right? And so you haven't started making investments yet. Is that correct?
I mean, we
Already
We
have.
want to start in any time. So the key thing is we've already done the 357. So if people want to see emblematic of the kinds of companies, it's the existing portfolio. And the way that comes to bear is when we construct a portfolio to Alumni Ventures, 2/3 are seed and A, and 1/3 is growth, which is BCD for us, roughly in terms of stages. So the seed and A, there's a good chance those are new companies to us. But for the BCD and even some of the A, those are companies in the existing portfolio that we already have the relationship with. So for instance, I'm talking to one of my portfolio company CEOs, runs a cybersecurity company, and we joined co-round. It was led by Excel, and we were the only other the only other institutional in it. And she's gonna come right in, and she's a pistol, right? And so I'm super excited to hear what the company has done. Classic cybersecurity investment, right? Just the center of our wheelhouse in terms of what we do in venture. And that's the kind of deal where, yeah, it's a good chance that will be in the women's fund, right? Because it's we're able to be there in part because we got in early at the seed, and now as she grows the business, it's a great fit for us.
It's great. And so, as far as your investment thesis, you just said 2/3 seed and A, 1/3 B, C, and D.
Yep.
You just said that cybersecurity is big for you guys. Are there other areas that you're focused on? What's
So we are omnivores in terms of venture categories. What are venture categories? Cybersecurity, machine learning, robotics, AI, classically anything in life science or biotech that's a startup, right? A lot of defense, climate tech, fintech. We're omnivores in terms of venture categories. Us, the way I think of it is kind of a 4-layer cake with icing. So the 4-layer cake is, fiery founder, in this case, fiery female founder, or, attacking an enormous market opportunity with moats or some kind of intellectual property barrier that helps them have an edge. And then most impactfully traction, kind of velocity traction means that these guys are moving fast. But candidly, that's table stakes, right? So that's every venture deal or those pieces. So for us, the icing on the cake is that we're exclusively a co-investor. And so we can look at the deal dynamics, right? We can understand what's going on here with the lead investors. So I'll give you an example from portfolio, somebody called Carry First. They do payments and gaming in.
Say it again. What was the name of the company?
Oh, it's called Carry First, like carry water first.
Okay, Carry First.
Okay.
Got it.
So when we joined, it was a new round, A1 that was by Bitcraft. So Bitcraft is a specialty gaming VC. They are the top of their field in many ways. If you know Fortnite, Epic Games, that's one of their companies. And so leading this round, going on the board was a sort of OG general partner that started the whole firm. Yes. So that's great. You want to have the experience that people going in, but you also want to know, is this an impactful investment for that? So in their case, they brought a $15 million check. Now, normally at an A1, they're bringing like a $3 million check. So the difference is they brought in their LP. They had enough confidence in what Carry First was building that they brought in their LPs to this. So $15 million check, super size for the lead Bitcraft with a very experienced VC leading around in his specialty, which is gaming. That sounds pretty good. Yeah. But then we also unpack. We say, what's going on with the prior investors? What do they think about the company? Well, the prior investors in this case were Andreessen Horowitz, now known as A16Z. So they had led the A. They'd been on the board for a year. What were they doing? So in this case, A16Z was doing double pro rad. So leaning in. They'd been watching what this team had been executing, female founder, seeing how this company was working. And that was causing that A16Z to do double their pro rad. So for us, that's the icing on the cake because we can unpack the company and we can tell you, wow, it's a great team, big opportunity, with moats and early traction. But the entry point for us coming in, knowing this valuation is great because we have expertise at Bitcraft that does so many gaming companies. They know what the right valuation at this stage, at this time period in this industry sector is. And then also we understand what the prior investors are thinking about this company. Are they leaning in or are they just tepidly letting other people use their capital to come in? For Carry First, huge lean in, huge vote of confidence from A16Z in this company. So that's the kind of stuff we look at. And so from an investing perspective, you get a sense of sort of the core dynamics of the company, but also the fact that we get to look at that icing on the cake of the deal dynamics at the point where we write the check.
Right. So you are more likely to let me ask you this and maybe another way. Sounds like many of your leads your opportunities come from other investors. Is that
So
true?
uh, sometimes, not entirely. So for us, we really are mining our alumni
That
community.
more.
Right?
Yeah.
So an example of Carry First, our female founder is that we see is where we go into Carry First. We really cultivate the founders. Where the investors come in is that before we invest, we talk to the lead,
Mm-hmm.
understand their rationale,
Mm-hmm.
right, and what they see for the future of this company. We also cultivate those relationships and we understand. But I have to say, if a VC brings me a deal,
Mm-hmm.
I have to look a little bit skeptical because they're in the business of putting money to work.
Why
And if they want us to put money to work, it has to make me wonder. So the exceptions are I have a cadre of say seed VCs that I love and I talk to on a regular basis. For their companies as they move up the stack, that those seed funds rarely have full follow-on capability in those later rounds. And so
yeah.
it's attractive to me to understand who are your best seed investments as they go into are going to be, because we might be able to help them. So that's a case. I also have a series of VCs that I adore that sometimes get deals that are not in their wheelhouse. So, right, is there an enterprise focused VC and out of the blue, a consumer tech deals comes to them, they can't invest because it's outside of the rubric of the fund, but maybe because there's a school connection, or maybe because they just are really impressed with this team, they can do an introduction to us and we can explore there. So I do look a little bit askance because of adverse selection when there's a VC that brings a deal, unless it's one of these, very known quantities. We're talking about moving up the stage in terms of an investment criteria that knows where they can put money to work.
So if I'm a founder and I'm interested in pitching alumni, any of the funds, and you can explain whether you pitch to one fund or all of them. Um, like what should I know about where I am in the process? Like, what
Yeah.
is it too early for me at a certain point? Do I need to have some other investors before I come to you?
I
Talk
would say
about
so. Yeah.
the
We,
strategy.
yeah. So we start with a pretty wide funnel. So we do have an entrepreneurs form on our website. It's always there. There's a section of the Alumni Ventures website, which is AV, like Alumni Ventures, AV.VC. So I will say we can't, our rubric is we're only investing when there is sort of institutional lead VCs waiting around, right?
Yeah.
So if it's friends and family, if it's kind of past the hat stage, that's not where we play for a couple of different reasons. One is who invests with us?
Yeah.
It's individual investors who want to get access to venture invest deals because they can't do it individually. If they can do it individually, then they should find the founder separately, and that's not a real bust. So for us, it needs to be when you are raising the venture led round. We sometimes engage before that round is raised, but most of the time there's some kind of steps forward that first round is coming together. The exception is when there is a school connection. Sometimes those conversations do get started in advance of the round and we're open to that. But it really has to be on that trajectory. So the places where we don't play is, when it's angel, sort of friends and family round, and also just on a practical basis, we don't tend to come into the tweener rounds. We don't tend to come into those 12-month, hey, we're just trying to hit another milestone before we raise. And it's an embarrassment of riches. We now are the most active VC in North America, third most active globally, have these 1,300 portfolio companies. We basically can be a little choosy in terms of when we enter, and we like to come in with that new price round because that gives us confidence. It's the round is priced appropriate to the category, right? Where you really have a very experienced VC who lives, breathes, sleeps, fusion energy, and knows exactly what fusion companies should be priced at in a Series A.
Awesome. I get that. And from an investor perspective, I very much appreciate that. So I would love to hear, maybe you could give us a couple of examples of some women-led companies that Alumni has invested in, and that really, like, you're struck by the founder, you're struck by the deal, you're struck by the opportunity. Um, fiery founder, enormous market, moats to have an edge, traction, co-investor. Like, tell us a couple, give us a couple of examples.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Terry first. I looked at Body because I think that hits on a lot of those. I don't know how familiar your audience is, but so Findbody is a fertility benefits platform. So started by the indomitable Gina Borghese. So when we first invested, it was the Series A. She had founded and led and taken public a company called Progeny. So it's similar categories. So she knows the category and she's done it from zero to IPO. Right? Really amazing. When we joined the Series A, it was all female investors, all female on the staff. It was on full time. It was really kind of a pure play, and there was skepticism out there, right? There was skepticism. So that was back probably 2018 ish. So fast forward to 2022, and she raised a fee in there and basically was kind of queuing up to go public and recognized that public markets were not open at that juncture. So this is what I love about why investing in private matters, why investing in fiery founders matters. So at 2022, she's valued at $1 billion. So uniform from our A investments. And she decided to do three things in 2022. She acquired a competitor, which doubled her footprint to that body. She bought a labs company, which basically allowed her to vertically integrate, which improved margins, right? And the third is she did the core thing of a founder, which is you got to close business. So she closed Walmart. So Walmart is the second largest employer in the US. If you're selling an employee benefit and you sell to the second largest employer in the US, that is huge, right? And more than that, it was strategic in the sense of these fertility benefits have been mostly the Bermuda coast, right? If you worked at McKinsey, if you worked at Goldman Sachs, if you worked at Accenture, maybe you got fertility benefits from your employer up to that point. But here she's unlocking Walmart, which means for Walmart to recruit people, they are going up against Target or UPS or whoever else, sort of heart of the country companies. And suddenly to open up fertility benefits to the person who's stocking shelves at Walmart, like, wow, huge, monster, awesome, right? And so Gina goes from that Series A when we first invested to $1 billion in 2022. It's a little roadblock called the IPO market isn't open, and goes and does these three things that year. By a year later, she valued at $2.8 billion.
Wow.
And closed JP Morgan Health as an investor. So like that journey for me, it's like, hey, maybe some of the guys didn't know that fertility benefits were important, but we sure all did, right? And also, there is this macro perspective that's going on in investor where there are half as many public companies as there were 2 decades ago, right? So basically this whole entire movement to the private side, there's 4 times as many private companies at the same scale, like 100 plus employees. So you basically have this shift from public markets to the privately run companies who are working really hard, and man, they are creating a lot of value. So all that value that Gina created from when we joined at the Series A to being a $2.8 billion company is before it's public and before it can be in somebody's 401k. So, we actually do take retirement dollars and Alumni Ventures. So I guess for the folks who've invested with us, that's not fair. But just in terms of public market, random people buy something on the NASDAQ. You can't do it. You can't get into these kinds of companies. You've got to invest on the private side. And that, again, comes back to that mission of Alumni Ventures, where it hasn't been fair historically that this amazing asset class of venture was blocked to the individual accredited investor. We have this huge unlock where it allows us to gather those folks together, invest $25K up to $3 million, right? Just join us. And then we put that money to work in amazing founders.
I just love that story. What a great example. And it's all the pieces that you hope for a business to not only be smart and grow in all the strategic ways and figure out solve problems when they arise. Like, okay, I can't do the IPO. How do I continue? How do I continue to grow? Coming up with new ideas. But this is actually this is an example of a business that's a force for good. because it really demonstrates Kind Body is showing it's creating an access, a movement in society towards, a lot creating new benefits that wouldn't otherwise be offered in the world. So I think it's really special and neat that Alumni Ventures can be such an important part of that puzzle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have them all. I would have to have like 10 hours for me. Like founders, there's nanocraft, there's all sorts of great ones. So I'd love to do it at a different time, but I know you can take.
Yeah. Yes, I know. So I just have one final question for you. And it's, what you've been a CEO, you've been in venture, you've had so many experiences. What would be some wisdom that you would offer founders who are struggling to grow and or struggling to fund their growth?
Mm. Yeah, I think, I've been in that grading moment and you kiss a lot of frogs when you're fundraising. I remember as a CEO again, or I think half the meetings I got because they were just like, it's a female CEO. I've talked about those before. I wonder what they look like. Yeah. So I mean, I went out and I did a roadshow of, whole many meetings. You have to just keep going and distill and keep feedback and get tighter and tighter in terms of what your offering is, right? So that ability to pitch constantly is important. Work constantly is important. I think in this day and age, people are more interested in the actual business model. So you need to make sure that there is an enormous opportunity ahead of you. You can think of it as rolling out as a staged process, but you need to have the whole big picture as well. So if in New England, there's something called candlepin bowling. I don't know if you've ever done candlepin bowling, but do you know what that is?
I don't know what that
Okay.
is.
Okay. So what bowling is, you got those little pins, right?
Yes.
And there's big ball bowling where you just take a big old ball and you roll it down. It's like boom, smash, you knock down all the pins. Candlepin bowling is different in that you have a small ball.
Okay.
And I think that's more akin to being a senator in that you don't have a big amount of money to go roll down the bowling alley and knock down all the pins. You got to be precise.
Yeah.
So I think of that because in bowling, if you hit that, it's a triangle, right? If you hit the pin at the front of the triangle, then that is called strike or something. You get all the pins behind you down.
Yes.
And so when you're thinking about your first market, you have to think about what is that first market that unlocks all the rest. And as a founder pitching it, you have to explain what that first market is, but you also have to explain that behind it is boom, this big opportunity. So you've got this whole lane, you got the whole bowling alley, you got the whole, entertainment zone, if you will, that you're going after. But you want to hit that first target, that first ball that gets first pin that knocks the rest of them down. And you do that precisely with the capital that you have.
I love that. That's great advice, to be really specific in the early stages about which market you're going after, but know what the future looks like.
Because if you don't paint the big picture, like I've seen when I was pitching, I remember always feeling like there were people who wanted to know that you were just going to get first 10, but you weren't going to really get the money unless you were painting the picture of full 12. And
Right.
so that is a balance when you're doing modeling. I love models, kind of base case and stretch, because you can expand your vision and this is what it could be. And I know how I'm going to get from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to sort of migrate there. But with unit economics, they're attractive over time. And sometimes women focus too much on that first win, and you're not going to get venture funding unless you are focused on a whole damn tuna. So you need to get, expand your vision and your approach to see that there is a humongous market opportunity ahead of you, or else go a different path. Like venture,
Right.
isn't mass for everybody, right? 90% of businesses not get venture, and nothing wrong with that. Raise friends and family, build what you want to build. But if you want to do venture, you better be going for the big old huge strike and on it, if you will.
Awesome. Great advice. Thank you, Laura. And so how can we support you? I imagine you're looking for both investors as well as opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So founders definitely go through our entrepreneurs forum and let us know about you. Folks who are not yet founders that want to support female founders, this is a great invitation. av.vc/women's is our women's fund. So that's a great way. We have a community that we're starting, hundreds of thousands of people, and it's at least votes. And it's incredible that people sort of forwarding that on to their friends.
Oh, yeah.
Start from that position of strength, but also appreciate getting the word out and spreading the word. Because it's kind of a two-sided thing here, right? We want to back the female founders, but we want to do it with capital. And this is the way where, from a very democratized groundswell approach, we can do that.
I love it. So I just encourage everybody to go and check out the website, av.com. Yes?
Yeah, no, it's actually av.vc.
av.vc. I apologize.
Yeah.
Yes. And we'll put this in the links and so forth along with the episode, but av.vc. I'm on, and then /funds, and then there was /women's. Yeah. And then also definitely sign up for the newsletter. I follow you on LinkedIn. I highly recommend that, and I'll put your LinkedIn, Laura's LinkedIn, in the description below. And definitely follow Laura. She's got so many wonderful resources, a lot that comes out on a regular basis. I'm on the newsletter. Really, it's a pleasure, Laura.
I appreciate it. And I'm so glad that the coincidence of the guests for a connection to you and me, because I feel like that's a conversation and a relationship time. So this has been terrific. Thank you.
So thank you, Laura, for joining us on Women Get Funded. Thank you for illuminating the path to unlocking opportunities for growth and prosperity for women-led enterprises. The world is made better by women-led business. So let's all go make the world a better place. Thank you. Are you ready to take the next big step in planning, propelling, and funding the exponential growth in your high-impact business? Welcome to the Force for Good Business Accelerator. The next step is the Force for Good Business Accelerator. At a Force for Good, we know that growth is a puzzle you can solve. You too can cross the chasm of scaling and funding at www.aforceforgood.biz/accelerator. Designed for women founders and their teams, this virtual experience is your opportunity to immerse yourself in a transformative process that will create a flywheel effect for your entire company. First, you'll build and implement a growth plan. This plan will be designed to help you accelerate product market fit and fine-tune a go-to-market strategy that produces more prospects, more customers, more traction, more growth. Next, you will explore all the many options for funding your business, from angel investors to venture, crowdfunding, grants to loans. We will help you explore every option available to ensure you always have the fuel to keep growing. Along the way, you will elevate as a transformative leader, discovering clarity, confidence, and wisdom with each step along the journey. We will guide you every step of the way, and with options for additional support available to help you grow more quickly, we help you believe in our mantra that growth is a puzzle you can solve. Learn more about the Force for Good Virtual Business Accelerator today at www.aforceforgood.biz/accelerator. That's right, www.aforceforgood.biz/accelerator.